come once again to discuss things.
Okay, no. And on that note, hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I'm Sid Part 2, joining me today is Milan Jeftik, and of course, it seems nearly impossible as of late to get all three of us together. Steve is unfortunately doing a live show with Cap. It may be possible that he'll pop back on, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It seems very unlikely at this point.
He's doing better things, but anyway, what are we doing today, my dear friend?
Well, I told you this morning, so let's see how well your memory is.
Something to do with tomatoes.
Yeah, yep, dead on, man. No, we are talking about, we're comparing and contrasting, sympathetic villains and malicious villains. So, you know, this is a very Batman-centric show at points, but honestly I could not think of a better way to do it, or to exemplify this. So we're talking about, like, the difference between, you know, Mr. Freeze and the Joker. And this is all over the place. We constantly have villains that are, like, you know, have really sympathetic and interesting backgrounds. And then we have other villains that just, like, do it because they're fucking evil, or they just want to take over the world. That's just how they are. They don't have tragedy or whatever in their background. They're just a mean person.
Well, sometimes those two coalesce in, like, characters like the Black Hand. Really, you can make the argument that the Black Hand really was just kind of marked for failure from the very beginning. I mean, like, it's kind of really hinted to the fact that he's really just kind of, like, just Necron picked him to be his, you know, herald. And so from the very beginning...
Oh, William Hand, the Black Hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. From the Green Lantern from the Green Lantern series. Because, like,
yeah, I got you. No, when you said Black Hand, for some reason Black Glove popped into my mind.
Batman fan. But yeah, it's just like Black Hand, like William Hand, he was a normal dude. Sure, he was kind of, you know, weird, but you could, like, even his family crest was the same of Necron. So some weird generational Lovecraftian bullshit was going on. So really, he was just kind of marked for failure from the very beginning. And can you really blame a guy for murdering his family for being crazy? Or was he crazy, or just, yeah, I don't know.
See, I don't know. I wouldn't consider him a malicious villain, though. I'd consider him just kind of a sad motherfucker.
Yeah, sad motherfucker. But, like, is he sympathetic in that case, or is he just kind of depressing?
It's a good question, because I don't sympathize with William Hand. I think he's just a creepy fucking dude. But at the same time, I'm sure there's some motherfucker out there that feels bad for him. I mean, it is the internet that we're talking about.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him, because he just had such a great family, people who loved him, and just something inside him drove him to do horrible things. And it's just like, I don't know, it's weird, because with William Hand, it's just like, for all those who, like, I'm gonna plug myself mercilessly now, because I made a motion comic of that really famous Free Comic Book Day issue where he just, you get his origin, and it's, like, I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. That's saying a lot. But, yeah.
That just sounded so, like, narcissistic. It's one of the best things I've ever done, and that is saying quite a bit.
Yeah. Narcissism wasn't exactly the point of that, you know, self-flagellating jab, but yeah, I don't know. With the Joker, it's even weird, though. Is the Joker sympathetic? Like, if you're going by, like...
Well, it depends on the origin, of course.
But that's the thing.
Like, you know, for The Killing Joke, which is probably the most famous origin out there, you know, he was trying to, you know, help his wife and his soon-to-be kid by getting money, and then it was just an accident, blah, blah, blah. But then for every version of his origin that's like that, there's another one where he was just always fucking crazy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Joker origins, and I'm one of those people that say never show the Joker's origins, but one of my favorite times they've done it was in an issue of the Brave and the Bold comic book that was out for a while. Not the one based off the animated show, but like the serious, updated, modern Brave and Bold comic. And they had a crossover with the Atom and the Joker. And the premise of the issue was that the Joker had some kind of brain tumor, and the doctors weren't able to operate it on it. So the only way they could do anything about it is if the Atom were to go inside the Joker's brain and deliver the cure, essentially, from inside his brain.
This is what I don't understand. I mean, this is if you're gonna get around the whole moral, like this is a murderer. Are you really?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I was about to say that, and the Atom decides to do it just to prove that their way is better and blah blah blah. And I think they might have even put like a little thing in there about it might even stop him from being insane. Just to give the Atom like that little extra motivation. But Ray Palmer seriously does make the joke like right at the very beginning. It's the Joker. Who cares? We should just let him die. So, but like getting rid of the situation. What was really interesting is, as he was going through the Joker's brain, like he'd get caught in the electrical synapses between the nerve endings, and then he would get some of the Joker's memories. So like it starts out, and he's a little kid, and he's on the playground, and this girl's saying that he's weird because of something that he's doing, and he goes, "I'm not weird, it's the world that's weird." And then the next one, you hear the kid's parents fighting in the other room, and they're talking about how awful he is, and they saw what he did to that cat, and blah, blah, blah. And you see him lock the parents in the house and set it on fire as he walks away whistling. And then another memory that comes up is, the Joker and a gang, that like teenage version of the Joker and a gang robbing a convenience store, and the Joker just deciding to kill the owner anyway, even though the guy was being perfectly compliant. So there's just like, for every version of the Joker that's like, oh, he was just a guy, wrong place, wrong time, blah, blah, blah. There's another one where he's always been an evil bastard.
Yeah, but in that case, it's like, with the Joker, I think the most heart-wrenching depiction of him was from the Killing Joke. But publishing-wise, I found it really interesting that you can't humanize a character like that. Because the Killing Joke was the last Joker story. Like, it really was. Like, at the end, the whole symbol, it's really clear. The symbolism is really clear. The second that light goes off, it's like this light from at the very last panel, you see the police encroaching on Batman and the Joker in the rain. And then you see Batman's hands go on the Joker's neck, and then the Joker stops laughing. And the very last panel, the last two panels, is just the light, getting switched off. And if you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. And it's just that's the last Joker story. That's Alan Moore doing his whole Alan Moore thing of oh, this is fucking stupid. I'm gonna end it in the most classy way possible because I'm British. And then but DC Comics couldn't allow that, and so they said, oh, the Joker has multiple histories. And Grant Morrison came along and said, you know what? I'll turn that lazy writing into actual character development. And yeah, that kind of turned Joker into this weird Lovecraftian monstrosity without a past. It's he's aware of the multiverse. The Joker's aware of the multiverse. He is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. There's debate on just on whether or not the Joker or Batman does kill the Joker at the end of Killing Joke. Some people Alan Moore has come down to say, yeah, that was the intent, but it's left vague enough that you can clearly get away with it otherwise. And Batman does swear to bring him in by the book anyway, so. But that being said, the Joker seems to be at his best, when the character is written really, really well, I think the Joker always comes across as a malicious villain. He's just there to be a pain in the ass to Batman.
Yeah.
And I think you could say the same thing about, Lex Luthor and, I don't know, Wilson Fisk. Like, they may have elements of tragedy in their lives.
But
Go ahead.
Lex Luthor, I don't think, is a tragic villain. Lex Luthor.
No, I'm not saying.
Yeah, Lex Luthor is a fun villain.
Let me finish. Like, they have elements of tragedy in their backstories, but often that's not the focus of why they do what they do. Whereas you got like a villain like Mr. Freeze, and his entire purpose for being a villain is his tragic backstory,
Well, unless it's the New 52 Mr. Freeze, which is like, I'm just crazy. Ooh. Thank you, Scott Snyder. Yeah.
Scott Snyder. I can't write Batman.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, I suppose...
Really?
I like Zero Year, so I should back off of that
I like
bit,
Zero... Yeah. Like, I like Scott... Everyone takes... Like, all of us old school, fluffy, buffy Batman fans, like, oh, Scott Snyder, his Batman's not my Batman. But, like, yeah, Scott Snyder is good stuff. Like, yeah, he's alright. But the thing
the problem with Scott Snyder...
his punk fucking... Yeah.
The problem with Scott Snyder is his Batman is my Batman, but it's like the diet version of my Batman. So,
yeah. But the thing is, I really like that kind of... Like, it's not British punk Batman, it's American punk Batman. Mm-hmm. Which is it's a difference, but yeah, it works. Like, I think it was from the Superhero Enthusiast podcast, like plug. I think it was with Steve and Alex. They were talking about like Zero Year, and like they really hit it home. But yeah, like the thing with Lex Luthor, which I like, is that Lex Luthor, like the appeal of Lex Luthor is just seeing him being just such a smart-ass dick to everyone. Mm-hmm. That's why I like Lex Luthor. He's like, I'm smarter than everyone. Let me prove it. And I'm like, God damn it, Lex, you smart motherfucker.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like he's got, there's some versions of Lex where like, his father was terrible to him or whatever, or he has some kind of element of tragedy in his life, but it's not the focus of the villain. And there are plenty of villains where the tragedy is the focus, is the reason why they're doing it. Like I said, Mr. Freeze is obviously the biggest one that comes to mind as a Batman fan, but almost every other Spider-Man villain, I'm trying to think of like a specific one, but like Eddie Brock at times is a sympathetic villain because he's just a guy that wanted to be the best, but nothing ever worked out for him because no one ever took him seriously. That's kind of tragic. And sympathetic.
Eddie Brock is kind of like that. I've grown up with guys like Eddie Brock, like just guys that like the big tough manly men. They work out and they're like they try their best, but they're just not that bright, and they keep fucking themselves over. And it's like, and just give that guy alien superpowers and see what happens. And
so like, what do you think would be your idea of a sympathetic villain then? Like, what can you give me an example of a sympathetic villain that's not Mr. Freeze?
Well, the most obvious one is Magneto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone goes to Magneto because, fuck, he was a kid in the fucking death camps. How much more sympathy can you get for a guy? Like...
Yeah, and like one of the fascinating things about Magneto's character is he became Hitler at a certain point in the comics. Like, he was planning, he's obviously always planning genocide of the humans and everything, but...
No, the thing is, he's not planning, like, in some, like, there's two versions of Magneto. The Hitler one, and just, like, we want to be dominant. It's like, you can't do this. He's kind of like the kind of radical terrorist, the Malcolm X, but with anger powers.
Well, like, to be fair, I don't read much Marvel at all, though I am getting the Black Panther trade that the series was based on in the mail tomorrow. Like, Lord Jaeger, though, plug, did a motion comic-y thing of Magneto, giving like a speech to Professor X's unconscious body, and in it there are all these like allusions to Hitler and the Nazis, which is just fascinating because it paints Magneto as Hitler, which is just an amazing turnaround for a character to me.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of that tragic irony that he became what he really hated. And it's just that Magneto currently has his own book. I'm not sure if it's been canceled or not, but it's essentially it's kind of not Born Identity, but he's essentially going out and killing like people. He's like assassinating people who fucked up the mutant race. And the thing is, he knows what he's did is wrong in the past. Like his whole first issue was like, I know what I did was wrong. He's Jewish. Like Magneto was actually Jewish, and he's like he compares himself to the Christian Satan. Like who? Like really? It's like, am I like him? Does he have to do what he has to do to everyone hates him? But it's a lot more intelligent than I'm making it sound. But later on, like a spoiler alert, the Red Skull captures him. Basically, long story short, the Red Skull has stolen Charles Xavier's brain and thus has his superpowers. And so, the Red Skull Xavier has captured Magneto and just takes him on this weird-ass, trippy, horrifying, hallucination nightmare through his mind and his past and who he is, and reminding him of this one particular Nazi guard that, tortured him when he was a kid. And it's just like, it's really, that's the thing, what I like about Magneto. It's going with this kind of, I think X-Men First Class, that kind of Nazi hunter Magneto, but a little bit more comic booky and super villainy. I can't believe he actually had a thing with Rogue at some point. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, that's a little awkward.
Yeah, like, the thing is, everyone asks and complains, like, how can he be so young while he's still, he's like 75, 85 years old now. I'm like, dude, he controls magnetism. He can just slow down the magnetic, gravity slows down time. And he's the power, and he just slows down his gravity ever so slightly. So, yeah, he's not going through time as fast as anyone else. So, yeah, his age is much slower.
I guess.
Yeah.
Magneto's a good one. Another good one is, at least in the movie version, I haven't read the comics, but from what I understand, it's fairly close, is Bucky.
Bucky?
Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah, I know Bucky.
Yeah, he's a very sympathetic guy. He's, just trying to fight alongside his buddy and everything, and then, he gets captured by Nazi scientists. They fake his death.
Russian scientists.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm thinking of the movie for some reason. He gets captured by the damn Soviets. They fake his death.
Damn Ruskies.
Experiment on him and just fucking, mess up his life and put him back in, cryo sleep every time they make him... can you imagine you are cryogenically frozen only so that you can kill someone the next time you wake up over and over again for, 60-something years. That's horrible. And very Russian, very pragmatic. I can totally see Putin doing that.
That's the thing. I every time any sort of Russian thing comes up in American media, it's always like, oh, Russian people are they're just horrible. They're just terrible, horrible, unspeakably evil people. They should not be trusted.
Well, learn from history, right?
I suppose so, but yes, the Russians are terrifyingly pragmatic, cutthroat. That's the right one, honest and cutthroat. That's the one. That's our racial moniker. Is it work? Is it logical? All right, let's do it. Why the fuck not? Yeah, but it's just the Winter Soldier's whole thing is, it really works, and afterwards, yeah, he's a very short-lived villain, because you can't have Bucky be a villain for long. But the point where he was a villain, spoiler alert, for what was it, 5-year-old comic. But yeah, he becomes good again. Oh, you didn't know that. Oh, sorry, non-comic book fans. But yeah, I mean, Bucky's situation, yeah, he's definitely a very sympathetic villain. It's just really, he's not really a villain. He's an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I don't know if I'd say I'd go that far.
Well, he's not even a villain. It's not of his own choice. Like, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's been brainwashed. So is he really a villain?
Yeah, I think so, to a certain extent. Like, not in the same way that Freeze is, certainly, but I think he's got, the qualities of a villain for that story arc. For a little bit, he's a villain, but he's like the Green Ranger. He comes around.
Yeah.
Bill's been talking about fucking Power Rangers on this episode of Demons from Outer Space, and it's just, like, infected my brain.
Yeah, Power Rangers. It's always just like...
Are there any sympathetic villains in Power Rangers besides the Green Ranger?
I don't know. I stopped watching Power Rangers after my parents split up.
Oh, that just got so sad.
Everything, like, I'm sorry, everyone. I'm really not, trip-fagging or anything. It's just my life really is that horrifying.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough with my trip-faggery. What else? What other villains you want to talk about?
Well, let's see here. I'm just bored, and I'm just trying to think of other villains that come up. Dr. Octopus in the second Spider-Man movie is a villain that they portrayed very sympathetically. I don't know his original origin.
The thing with Dr. Octopus is that he has like a weird thing with his mom and his dad. Like, his mom was like this big fat coddling woman, like, oh, he's like the Jewish mother essentially. Oh, he's gonna be great. Oh, and he's just like in the comics, he's really kind of this, like, before he became Dr. Octopus, it was just like this really kind of quiet, scientist, nerdy dude, like, hey, how you doing? Let's get to work. And then, like, everyone just took a shit on him, and then he just got his arm, like, after the accident, he's like, fuck everything and everyone. If everyone's gonna treat me like shit, I'm gonna treat everyone else like shit. And it's really sad, because he's kind of like what Peter Parker was originally, just a nerdy kid that wasn't really that cool of a guy, because everyone just kept shitting on him, and so he was just kind of a jerk. And so instead of something tragic happening, like Peter Parker went one way, Doc Ock went the other way and became kind of the angry nerd. So, like, it's really, like, kind of the diverse, roads of the nerd. You can either become just an angry, just really angry guy, just hate everyone, or you can mature out of the nerd stage and actually become a man and help society.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like Doc Ock in the second Spider-Man movie, though, is like an incredibly sympathetic villain, because everything he's doing, he's just trying to make the world a better place, as it were. And everything just keeps going wrong for him, and then the claws kind of just drive him crazy, so he doesn't know how else to deal with it. He's just a guy that can't deal with his failures, so I suppose in that sense it's somewhat similar to the original. Not that he was a failure in the other one, but he's clearly not the success he wanted to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, so, like, we got a fairly good range of sympathetic villains, so besides Joker, I still think Lex Luthor qualifies. Who are some other good malicious villains in your mind? And I wanted to try to get, like, a bunch of these out so that we can kind of have some stuff to talk about, compare and contrast.
Carnage from Spider-Man.
Definitely. Well, I mean, to be fair, I told you not Joker, Milan.
Well, the thing is with Carnage, like, he's really kind of come into his own, because, like, there's this story arc that's happening, like, well, it's finished up in Marvel now. It's called, and it's something, I don't know, but basically all the villains are flipped. So Sabretooth is now a good guy. It's some sort of psychic brain switch thing. So all the good guys are bad now, and all the bad guys are good.
So, like, they just took the Superior Spider-Man book and applied it to all the characters in Marvel, then.
Well, it's not really that simple. It's just like their main.
I know. I'm making a joke.
Yeah. Their main personality traits kind of get flipped, and it's kind of weird because Sabretooth has just kind of become the new Wolverine after Wolverine has died. It's kind of like Magneto's like, I understand, like, there's this really sweet speech between him and the ghost of Charles, And it's like after this thing happens, he's like, Charles, I understand now what you always wanted, like this and that. And then the ghost of Charles looks down and says, like, that's the tragedy of it all. Like, you were right all the time. But
about Carnage.
Carnage, anyway. Carnage is just like since he's got split in half, essentially some superhero ripped him in half, and Carnage has always
Sentry did that.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Basically, Carnage has just been always this insane, crazy dude. It's just been this crazy-ass serial killer. And it's it's always fun to have that guy. You know, you never want to admit that you relate to this lunatic, but why do people like slasher movies so much? You know?
Because seeing teenagers get murdered in horrible ways while also being scantily clad is pretty awesome.
Yes, but that's the thing. Like, Carnage is just, for some people, for the good, moral, kind-hearted people, Carnage is just like the worst thing ever. Like, he looks monstrous in itself. But really, a great story arc of Carnage is called Carnage USA, where he's just walking around on his robot legs. Some fucking government dumbass decided, hey, I'll fish him out of space and give him robot legs and make him kill people for us. Because that...
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so, like, Carnage is like, okay, and he kind of breaks out and essentially takes over this small southern town.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like everyone, like, he just, like, makes, like, old people sit on the park bench, like, don't move anywhere, I gotta go poop. Poop in your pants, you know? Or I'll kill your grandkids. And he's complete sociopath. And it's just, it is just fun. It's just like, hey, wanna set a puppy on fire? Go right ahead.
Well, like, I don't know if this is a very good argument or not, but I'd say the Venom symbiote itself is a fairly sympathetic character.
How so?
Because all it wants is Spider-Man. All it wants is to be with Spider-Man like it was originally, and to be fair, the Venom symbiote in the original story arc just made Spider-Man better. As far as it saw things, it just made Spider-Man better at being Spider-Man, so why did he abandon it from its perspective, you know?
Yeah, because it was like because it was doing some weird ass things. Like, it's like, hey, he's fallen asleep. Let's go swing around the city and beat people up.
Yeah, I mean, but still, he was just making him a better Spider-Man, and from its perspective, it was just trying to do what Spider-Man wasn't able to do.
Yeah.
The Venom symbiote's just like this kind of scorned lover of a character.
Yeah.
I remember this one really good Venom comic I read when I was a kid, where, like, the symbiote, like, Spider-Man was fighting him and everything, and toward the very end, like, they were falling off of a building and Spider-Man was out of web, and the symbiote, like, at the last second, tried to jump off of Eddie Brock and onto Spider-Man in order to save Spider-Man's life.
That's fucked up.
And that is, like, the most messed up thing when you think about poor Eddie Brock.
Oh, yeah.
Right, though? Think about that, like, the thing that he's upset, like, he's just as upset. The Venom symbiote is, like, the worst fucking girlfriend ever because she's, like, still in love with her ex, but, like, constantly says, oh, no, I love you more, and let's just go check on him to make sure he's okay.
Yeah. I never had that.
Yeah, but, like, it's this really interesting relationship. So the Venom symbiote is kind of the opposite of Carnage, and just that it's fairly sympathetic, I'd say.
Yeah, but funny enough, crazy. But funny, like, that's not the case anymore. It's found a new boyfriend in Flash Thompson.
Yeah, I know.
And it's adorable. They're like she's like, oh, the symbiote is all, like, so doting on him. It's like, oh, are you all right? Like, I'll give you legs. And it's in a kind of fucked up, scary slime monster type of a way, but it's kind of sweet. It's really kind of sweet. It's like, I want to tear that man's eyes out. No. Oh, okay, baby.
No, but all right. So, some other malicious villains. For me, like I said Joker. I said Lex Luthor. Black Mask is another good example of a really just malicious villain. He just likes to torture people.
Well, he's a mob boss. From personal knowledge.
No. Dude, there's this fantastic scene,
But
in the Catwoman
we
book.
gotta clarify which Black Mask are we talking about.
The original Roman.
Roman.
There's this amazing scene in the Catwoman book when he kidnapped, I believe it was Catwoman's, it was Selena Kyle's
the
sister and her husband. So he kidnaps them and he's getting ready to torture them. And he goes, like, as he's putting on his gloves and everything, he's just reveling in it. He goes, now listen, we should address, of course, the issue of screaming. Feel free to. Frankly, I quite enjoy it, and the walls are soundproofed anyway. Now I know, you're a big, strong man. You don't think you're gonna scream, you're not gonna give in to me, but don't worry, you're gonna break really quickly, so don't feel ashamed at all. And then there's, like, just all these, like, great scenes when when Catwoman's sister is talking to her in Roman's presence, and she goes, do you know what a grown man's scream sounds like when his eyes are pulled out of his head? It's not quite like a little girl. It's just a little too deep. So Black Mask just loves to torture people. Like, mob bosses will torture people, but they don't take the pleasure in it the way he does. Like, they're angry, they're bastards, they like, you know, they like that they're inflicting pain on the person that they feel wronged them, but Black Mask is a sociopath that just enjoys the process of torture to the point where he's made an art form out of it almost. Didn't
he fucking feed that girl? Like, there's a panel where he's just feeding her, like, bits of his flesh, like, eat it, like, and she, like...
No, he fed Selena Kyle's sister her husband's eyes.
Just her eyes?
No, the eyes of her husband he fed to her sister.
I know. I remember. I remember that panel, and her eyes would look so glazed. Like, the look in her eyes was like, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah, Black Mask is just a fucking evil son of a bitch. And Jeremiah Arkham Black Mask was okay. It definitely had its moments, but
it's a bit more theatrical.
Nothing beats Roman.
Yeah,
nothing beats Roman, dude.
Roman Black Mask is a bit more pragmatic. You know, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna feed your boyfriend's eyes to you, baby. Come on. Yeah.
Well, even old school, like, 80s Black Mask was pretty messed up because he did that whole thing where he'd, like, you know, put this epoxy or whatever you want to call it onto these masks and then put them on people's faces so that the second they took them off, they were ripping off their own face. That was, like, one of his original story arcs.
Yeah. Like,
back when he dressed in, like, fucking awesome pinstripe suits and stuff.
Yeah.
Back
when he looked like a pimp.
Black Mask's design has completely changed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Because he used to have, like, a weird kind of, like, a opera-like mask thing, but now it kind of looks like a skull. But, like, it's weird.
Well, no, it's like what happened, it was originally an actual mask that he put on, and then he got in a fire with the mask
carved
on.
From the fucking grave wood of his parents' coffin.
Yeah. And then he was in a house fire while he was wearing the mask, and it, like, melted onto his face.
How can wood melt?
I don't know. It makes sense. It's comic books. It, like, melted onto his face, and no, because it wasn't wood. It was ebony. It melted onto his face, and so he has, like, 5th degree burns or something. And so his face is just a fucking skull. That's, you know, permanently black.
It's pretty fun. Like, that's the weirdest thing. Like, in any courtroom, like, yeah, my client is innocent. He has a fucking skull for a head. Look at him. Look at this motherfucker. Like, does he just get up and say, Your Honor, I'm innocent. Nigga, you serious? Yeah. I'm totally innocent. Nigga, you filmed it. You filmed yourself torturing them. No, I didn't. Here's some money. All right, he's innocent. Yeah, Gotham City. You throw enough money at it, anything you...
He has a fucking skull for a head.
Yeah, it does. Bro, I love Gotham. Like, it must be the most corrupt place ever. Like, what's his name? There's a Russian author Gogol. Like, it just reaches Gogol level of corruption. It's like, fuck yeah, why not? Give me some money, you killed a kid, fuck it, you know? Yeah. Only in the real world. Like, that only happens if the kid shot is black, but, you know, regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, like, so the Black Mask is a pretty good one. What's another good malicious villain?
Yeah, like, one more thing about, the second Black Mask, Jeremiah Arkham. Like, he's a bit more theatrical, which I like. He's a bit more ha-ha, you know? Like, and I like that, like, the whole theatrical. Like, the original Black Mask was more of a gangster with a weird-ass face, but this was, there's a bit of a Grant Morrison, like, I hate to keep bringing him up, but there's just, like, not everything is Grant Morrison, Milan. Well, he references everything, so it kind of is. What really,
Turns out that the universe is just my brain.
Totally. But yeah, like, he's, like, the second Black Mask kind of has that old school 1930s kind of supervillain theatricality to him, which I like. But anyway, another malicious villain. Let's not try to do, like, the obvious ones. Let's pick a weirder one. I don't know. You pick. What do you think?
See, it's like, it's one of those things where when you're put on the spot, it does become more and more difficult to do. But, shit. Alright, I'm trying to think of Marvel side, because I want to try to bounce back and forth here. Or can you think of... Oh, wait, here's a good one. Or, well, I don't know, do you think the villain in Skyfall counts?
Well, no, it's not really comic books.
Well, no, it doesn't have to just be comics.
No, I don't want to really, talk about the Sky... We already talked about Skyfall enough.
Okay.
There's this one, like... Let's see. Let's think. I don't know. We talked about Wilson Fisk, didn't we? Now, well, he's just kind of the crime boss, so no.
Well, I mean, his origin in Punisher Max.
Yeah. Like, he fucking read Mein Kampf, and he's like, okay, so like he'll learn how to control people, which is cool.
Yeah, so that's a fairly malicious character there.
But the thing with the Kingpin is that it's not really like he's not like Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor takes joy in showing off how smart he is. Like, Kingpin is more like, I'm just a big tubby guy. Don't worry about me. Like, he's.
Well, okay. How about Darkseid?
Well, Darkseid's kind of Darkseid. But the thing about Kingpin is that he's more pragmatic about, like, he's not, like, there's a great line from the animated Spider-Man TV show. The end of the world is bad for business,
Love that line.
Love
that fucking line.
Yeah. It's like that's the character right there. He's a businessman, just because he happens to be, like, he's the Steve Jobs of the crime world. Yeah.
Okay, so other just straight malicious villains then. I guess Cersei from Wonder Woman.
I don't. She's just a bitch. Like, she's just a.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that would seem to be a pretty good qualifier, because I mean, she just turns people into animals because fuck it.
No, I'm going to reference modern day Wonder Woman because I'm more familiar with that. Strife.
Oh my God.
Yes, Strife and Apollo. Apollo is just such a dick. He's such a dick. Yeah.
Like, I'm a little on the fence about the whole Superman Wonder Woman thing, but I loved that second issue with Superman fighting Apollo. That was so cool.
It is. It's like Apollo shoots him with fire from his hand. Like, nigga, you don't know me very well, do you? And just punches him into the sky. It's like, boom.
That was so fucking cool.
Just punches the motherfucker through a volcano up into the sky, and he just kept on going.
Yep. But yeah, Strife is a fantastic character. I don't know if you could even call her a villain, because at times she's a fucking ally.
She's Strife. She's
just there to fuck with people and just make them feel bad. Like, I think her first role in that story arc where she's just talking to Hera is probably when you see her at just her absolute worst, where she's like talking to Hera just about how she's all alone and how Zeus never pays any attention to her. She tells you exactly what you don't want to know that you're thinking in those books. And like, I love she has Hephaestus, in later issues, she has Hephaestus, make her just a needle, just a little tiny needle. And she, you know, throughout the issue, she goes and picks apart all these, like, strong ties of relationships that have been building up over the story arc so far, and she just breaks everyone apart during a party, and then at the end, all she uses the needle for is to fucking pop balloons.
What a bitch.
Absolute worst kind of person.
I love her design, though. It's just like, it's like that, like, it's like one of the girls I would date. It's just like...
She looks fucking anorexic.
Yeah, but she's cute, though. Like, she looks like a girl I know, which is, you know, she's like, just shave her head and, like, yep, that's her. But like, I like her, though. Like, her very first... And I love the fact, like, she's a Greek god, so you can't really do shit to her. She's like, I'll... Like, that's the part of the Wonder Woman books I really like. They actually just kind of got across that whole... Greek gods can do whatever the fuck they want to do, regardless of how you feel about it. And it's just like... That's how it was in the myth. You know, the greatest... There's this Greek saying, the best thing to do is to just don't pray to the gods, just ignore the gods, hope they don't get involved in your shit. More or less, you know, and like, that's it. Her very first meeting with Wonder Woman is just like, she's just walking through the island and makes everyone want to kill each other. And she's like, so there's this burial scene, and the cause of all that death and strife is just right there, just laying on the sand. Like, hey, what's up? Oh, I didn't do nothing. Like, they just started killing each other. I was...
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. She's such a bitch. I love her. And Apollo is just such a spoiled fucking douche. Such a douche. She's like, hey...
And he's such a fucking moron for not killing the firstborn when he has the chance in that book, too.
Yeah. Like, he torches the motherfucker. And then, the firstborn... He was raised by hyenas. And he just gets fucked up, and when he gets his hands on Apollo, I cheered. I'm like, ha, gotcha, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk. Now I feel like we got a lot of good examples out there. Of different characters that are malicious, characters that are...
Also, if you're a hot teenage girl, don't hang around with Apollo. Especially in triplets, you know.
Okay. So we got some examples of, like, good malicious villains and good, sympathetic villains out there. So, Milan, which do you prefer? And don't say, well, it's a complicated thing. Just if you're gonna read a Superman comic, which do you prefer? Do you want Superman to be going against, you know, a sympathetic guy, or do you want him, like, against Lex Luthor, who's just a fucking dick?
Well, the thing with that is just, I liked myself some Lex Luthor. When Lex Luthor is done right, I just, like, I can't help but clap, because, like, Lex Luthor does evil so well that you just gotta fucking clap, like, just, he does it with such aplomb, like, you just can't help but clap. The Joker's all like, I'll slash you, kill your family. Lex Luthor will just like, I will destroy the market just to fuck people around. If you fuck, yeah, he doesn't, like, he's like, I'm Lex Luthor, bitch. And it's just like, it depends on the writing. Like, there are some stories where I just, like, really like the sadistic, fucked up villains. But other times, it's just, like, it's really fun to have the villain, like, make you feel like, God damn it, nigga, I love you. Like, it depends on the story and how you use them. Because
but overall,
I just like bastards.
Yeah. See, I'm the same way, because I don't think it's that I just like bastards more, but I think it is when you have a sympathetic villain, it can be really interesting, and it's always fun to see your hero, not fun, but it's always really touching to see your hero, you know, like, not only win against the villain, but also find a way to help the villain in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I like bastards so much more is it's just all or nothing at that point. There's no compromise, there's no both sides winning out at the end. It's either your hero has to win, or everything after this is fucked.
Exactly.
No third option.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that kind of storytelling. I love all or nothing stakes storytelling.
Yeah, that's why.
And that's what you always get with a high stakes bastard of a villain.
Yeah, but the thing is, you gotta use your bastard villain sparingly. It depends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because if you like Darkseid, he can be used really well. Like in Final Crisis, like that's it, all or nothing, and complete annihilation of everything you know at all, like completely.
And it totally happened too.
Yeah, he did it. And like the thing is, you can't reuse Darkseid over and over again because that cheapens the like the badass.
Yeah, that's how you get like Justice League War, where I mean Darkseid isn't like awful in that or anything like some people claim. He's just there.
Yeah.
And there's no point of it being Darkseid.
Exactly.
It could have been anybody.
Just Doomsday with laser eyes.
Yeah. Pretty much. And I mean, like, you know, Steve and I had this conversation last week. I mean, I don't hate Justice League War. I just think it's kind of like a boring Justice League story. Like, not boring, but just like a mediocre Justice League story.
Yeah. But the thing, like, I don't get it because, like, it's people have compared it to Michael Bay's Justice League, and I'm like, yeah.
I guess I could see that. Just
Jim Lee's Justice League. Let's just say. Like,
yeah.
I like when Jim Lee, like as an artist, when he actually uses traditional perspective, he's fucking brilliant. But when his composition is just awful. It's just like,
well, like what I'm curious about is how much of that is, and this is probably going to sound racist. I'm curious how much of his perspective is Eastern influenced.
Well, it's not even that. Like, it's not he's really kind of he did this podcast with Kevin Smith, and he talked about his training routine as an artist when he was younger, and he's really kind of engulfed the Western. Like, he's an American. He grew up in America. He lives in Italy now, but fuck, he's American, true blue, whatever. But it's just like his stuff. Like, I've never seen a Jim Lee character smile ever. Have you, like, ever? Like, he doesn't know how to draw a smiling character. Like, does that speak something about his character, or is he just not good at drawing smiley faces?
I don't know. But anyway.
But the thing that I want to...
So yeah, I do agree though. When you have like these bastard villains, one of the shows, like, Steve likes this show more than I do. The Batman. It's an enjoyable show. It has its episodes that are really, really good, and then it has its episodes that really, really suck. But the problem with that show is they fucking constantly, like, if a regular season was, say, 20 episodes, at least 15 of those episodes were either Joker episodes or Penguin episodes. They would just constantly reuse those characters. And I love the Joker. The Joker's arguably my favorite.
The Joker's in the Batman, Beware the Batman?
No, not Beware the Batman. The Batman.
Oh.
The Jackie Chan one.
Ah.
Anyway, the Joker is one of my favorite characters in fiction. Arguably my favorite. And I love to see him, and especially if you're writing him really well, he's always really fun, and that show never wrote him poorly. It's just they used him constantly to the point where it's like, well, it feels like Batman locks him up, then he walks right out the front door, and it's just a fucking everyday thing. Like, they might as well be doing the fucking Sam Sheepdog and Ralph Wolf thing of punching a clock every day, beating the crap out of each other, punching the clock, and then having lunch together. It's just so ridiculous when you use them that constantly.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you continuously reuse your big bad of the series, it cheapens the thrill.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if that big bad's such a bastard of a villain, because suddenly it's, it stops being all or nothing. It just becomes routine, and that's a very significant problem.
Exactly.
And I think that's what sympathetic villains are really, really useful at doing, is they can come in and kind of break up the monotony, because now the hero doesn't have to find a way to stop the villain, or only to stop the villain, but they've got to try to find a way to help the villain so that hopefully they don't do it again.
Yeah, and that's like that with the sympathetic villain, there's an element of tragedy as well. It's like it's like the hero has to save the villain as well. So there's an extra boost for the hero to be more heroic as a human being than just like a guy in long underwear that punches people. And like
and it's always really interesting when the villain's like backstory mirrors the heroes in a certain way.
Oh, definitely.
Superman has a lot of those, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Well, not a lot of them, but like he has like General Zod, but that's like not as many as you'd think. Like most of his like big bads are just kind of it's all right.
What about like Parasite though?
Oh, Parasite, like that depends on which Parasite you're talking about. Parasite is just kind of a dick that just like if you're going by the New 52 Parasite, it's just kind of a hipster douchebag that just he really is. It's just like he's just a courier. Like you know what he is. You know those guys in New York, the bike messenger dudes. He's just an incompetent man, and he's just such a dick. But he's such a great design, and it's just
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, isn't there a Superman villain where like he has a very similar backstory? You know, kind of like grew up among people and just couldn't deal with it. I guess. As much as I hate to say it, that's one thing that Smallville did that was kind of interesting. Is like almost all the villains on that show for the first couple seasons at least, and it got very tired just the same way we were talking about with the Joker and the Batman did. But all the villains on Smallville came from the same background as Clark, and a lot of them had their powers for years and years, but were just using them like for selfish gain. And so that was a really interesting thing to see Superman deal with. Yeah.
Like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But the thing is, there's a character called Hel-El. It's essentially this refugee from Krypton, who's like at first like, "Hey, what's up,
How
man?"
many fuckers got off of that goddamn planet?
Let's see. Coral. I don't know. A few. It's an entire planet, like hundreds of thousands of people. Some might have, But the thing is, he's kind of fucked up, so he's just kind of like, hey, we're better than these people. Like essentially, you have like an all-star Superman, that super couple that just takes over the world when Superman's away. Like it's just like we could bench press a mountain. We're obviously genetically better than these fucking monkeys,
Yeah.
Like, you can't really argue with that. Like, they keep killing each other. Fuck them. Let's just take over and do some shit with this planet. Yeah, that's the colonial thinking. Like, they're just sticking, like, the dirt with a stick, not really using the land, so take it from them. And, with that is just, like, the whole Superman thing is just the immigrant experience. And when you have people who are just like, well, we don't want to be immigrants, we just want to take over because we're better. And regardless, I'm not going to bore you with more Superman, but yeah.
No, I think the Doctor and the Master have a similar relationship like that, where the Master is kind of just an evil bastard, but at the same time, well, it's a she now. She has her motivations in that same kind of colonial respect of, well, I can just fucking do whatever I want. I'm better than everyone else.
Well, yeah, you can traverse time and space. You can't really argue with that.
Well, and I can give spoilers because you're not going to start watching Doctor Who anytime soon. So the most recent series of Doctor Who had this like building plot about the afterlife, and they call it the Promised Land. And that was like the whole through line for the entire series. And then at the end, you find out that the Master, who is now the Mistress, because he regenerated as a she.
The fan fiction is gonna go crazy, isn't it?
Oh my God, she kisses the Doctor the first time she sees him and calls him her boyfriend throughout the whole series. It's fucking nuts.
Like, dude, you had a dick a minute ago. Now I have a...
Yeah, right?
Like, now I have a vagina, transgender, blah, 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 blah.
So anyway, the Mistress, like, has created some kind of, programming where people's consciousness is taken from them seconds before they die and stored and eventually put into a robot body. And then at the very end of this, toward the very end of the episode, she gives the Doctor control of this gigantic robot army. And she says the only thing that can happen is that it can only grow with every battle. So if you want to see the end of a good man, give him an army. And she makes the argument that all those things that you wish you could have done, like destroy Skaro, you can do now. Because you have an army that can only grow. As it kills. And it was such a fascinating fucking idea. So you had clearly a malicious intent that was also sympathetic to some of the Doctor's wishes in that. That was just incredibly great plot twist toward the end.
That's like the satanic thing, like your own hubris will fuck you over.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yes.
As a villain, it's always great to see a character who understands the hero in such a fundamentally terrifying way, you know? It's like, I know you so well.
Always that two sides of the same coin thing. That's such a fascinating relationship. And you can have that whether or not your villain's sympathetic or malicious. But I think it's just, arguably, it's just more interesting to see when the villain is straight malicious, because then there's no stopping them.
Exactly.
Unless you stop them.
Exactly. With that is just like, it's always fun to when it's like a sympathetic villain, it's kind of tragic. But when it's like a really like fucked up villain, like the Joker, like everyone goes to the Joker and Batman, but it's like when it's like
they are the best example of that.
Obviously, the most obvious example. But the thing with that is just it's kind of fucked up because like, hey, I kill kids, I murder, I'm Satan essentially, and you dress like Satan, but you're on the side of the angels. So, like, you see myself in you, and I definitely see myself in you as well. So, like, just fucking give in and have fun with me. Let's just go and, like, but you won't. And that's the fun thing. But also, I've recently read the New 52 Sinestro book. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Sinestro is such a cold-ass motherfucker. I love Sinestro.
I think the best writing I've ever seen for Sinestro outside of Jeff Johns' stuff, and I'm talking about, let me actually rephrase this. I think the best writing I've seen for Sinestro that isn't Jeff Johns and doesn't have Sinestro as already a bad guy was in Batman Brave and the Bold, the cartoon show.
How so?
Well, Batman and Sinestro got along, and they were like total bros. And that's exactly how you should write Sinestro when he's not evil yet, quote unquote. He should be like Space Batman.
Yeah. Like he
because that's all Sinestro is he's taken the same thing that Batman does, but he just took it way too far.
But I really like how cutthroat he is in that New 52 like issue that he was. Like he came back to his home planet, and like everyone just fucking hates him, and he's like, I'm gonna give everyone power rings, coming at me. Like this one scene, like just when Sinestro, after being like a bad guy for so long, kills one of his own men, like the scary fucking multi-faced demon thing, like, you betrayed us, and he snaps his neck. He's like, I betrayed nothing. And it's like, he's such a cold bastard. I think you compared him to Space Stalin, and I'm like, yes, he's so incredibly pragmatic. He'll do...
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone likes to go Space Hitler. I'm like, no, Hitler was ridiculous. Like, he just wanted, his own little personal goals about, making a perfect society and all that shit. That's not Sinestro. Sinestro wants everything to just be in order without any kind of chaos and for everything to just work. And that's Stalin.
Yeah.
Like,
the scariest...
Fuck it if millions of people starve. I want this... My goal is to make this communist system run.
It's the most terrifying OCD cop ever.
Yeah. In a certain respect. So Sinestro is one of those characters who's not sympathetic at all, but I'd be hard-pressed to call him malicious, because the interesting thing about what Johns has done with the Green Lantern universe is all these cores he introduced, with the exception of the Black Lantern Corps, and even then it's arguable, none of them are the quote-unquote evil core. They're all, like, or most of them have some kind of reason to butt heads with the Green Lantern Corps, because the Green Lantern Corps is, strict military rule kind of stuff, and Sinestro's Corps is constantly in a state of civil war at this point because he put the wrong people in it the first time.
He essentially put a bunch of serial killers and murderers in it.
Yeah, and he should have thought that through better, but, like, the motivation behind it was to just, what the Sinestro Corps should have been was a League of Batman. Or Batmen, I don't know. Anyway, Batman Inc. was what the Sinestro Corps should have been. But anyway, you got, like, all these different corps. None of them are evil. The Red Lantern Corps are just pissed off because, fucking genocide happened and no one did anything about it. Larfleeze is just a dude that wants his shit. He's just a hoarder. He's not evil. The Indigo Corps is, like, actually... It's gonna sound weird. The Indigo tribe is essentially a bunch of guys on parole.
Not really. Like, the Indigo Corps isn't it, like, made up with, like, conquerors and murderers and serial killers that just have been...
Yeah, but they're on parole, because like, rings have them in this state of constant compassion for other people.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Like, wouldn't that be great to just have, like, a brain chip thing? Like, okay, we're gonna put this thing in your head, and it's gonna make you feel more compassionate than you have ever felt before. Like,
yeah, and it's one of those really fascinating little ideas.
Yeah, but isn't that, like antithetical to free will? So isn't, like, all that kind stuff that they're doing...
Well, Milan, we're in Clockwork Orange territory at this point.
Well, why not? Like, it's, Alex is... Like, when I was a kid, like, when people said, "What's your Clockwork Orange? It's fucked up." I'm like, why? He's a little sociopath. Why would I be interested in the workings of a little sociopath?
Yeah, but the thing is, there's this whole argument there about the freedom of choice being the important part about making good decisions.
Well, if you're a little sociopath to begin with, then how the fuck can you possibly make that choice if you're a monster to begin with? If you're a good man forced to do terrible things, like that, you can...
Well, that's the thing, is it makes the argument that he's not a monster, because if you read the book as compared to watching the movie... once again, not Stanley Kubrick's fault. He didn't know that there was a different ending. But if you read the book, Alex is like 18 in the last chapter or something like that. And he's still doing all the shit that he's doing at the beginning of the book, but he just doesn't like it anymore. And so it's this really overly exaggerated argument for just maturity. Like, when you're a kid, we all... Boys especially, but I'd like to think everyone goes through this phase of just wanting to do, like, really fucked up shit, just wanting to rebel or commit violence or just be bad. So, like, Alex would go out and rape and kill people because that's how his generation rebelled. And as awful and terrible as that was, he and his friends grew out of it. Because the last chapter of the book is Alex running into one of his old gang members who's out with a girl, and they're both, like, the gang member's like 24 now, and Alex is 18, and the girl's making fun of the way Alex talks. I was like, oh my god, did you used to talk like that to the ex-gang member? And he's like, yeah, I did. It was stupid. And it just makes Alex realize that what he's doing is fucking immature and stupid.
Well,
and so he's not a little sociopath. He's just a fucking dumb kid.
Well, the thing with that is, like, he's still raped. Just, like, the damage that he's done is irreversible. Like,
No, I mean, I agree, but it's an exaggerated version of, the stupid shit that kids do, like, steal, vandalize shit, all that dumb stuff kids do.
Well,
it's just an exaggerated version of that.
I suppose so, yeah. I gotta watch that movie, It's really good.
I've
seen, like, bits of it, and I'm like... I've seen that's, like... It's just... It seems too close... Like, it's like, yeah, I get it, whatever. I grew up with people like that. Fuck. Jesus. It's
That's worth watching just for the Kubrickism of it all. It's worth watching.
Have you seen
It's fucking Stanley Kubrick. Come on,
dude. Have you seen that epic rap battles of history?
No, what is it? Kubrick versus who?
It's essentially. I'm just gonna send you the link, and afterwards you can watch it, and you can you'll call me right ass back, and you'll say, "Oh my god, I want to talk about it." It's so cool. Essentially, it's Steven Spielberg versus what's his name? The guy who made Psycho. No, the guy who made Psycho, Hitchcock.
Oh, Alfred Hitchcock.
And then fucking Kubrick comes in, and Michael Bay. It's just a giant. You think I'm spoiling it for you? I'm really not. Trust me.
Okay.
It's so awesome.
Okay. Anyway, but back to the topic at hand. Now, shit, what got us onto Clockwork Orange?
I don't know, something to do with the Joker or whatever. Who knows?
Probably.
Yeah, it's something to do with violence and terror.
Yeah. All right. Well, here's an interesting thing to talk about because we were talking about redemption. So, I'm trying to think. Mr. Freeze is a little too obvious, but let's one of the sympathetic villains we mentioned. One of them that just did horrible fucking things.
Magneto?
Sure, Magneto.
Yeah, he actually ran the school for a little while. He actually did try to be a good guy again. It's like, fucking, all right, Charles, you were right. I'll give your whole, philosophy a try. And that's the thing, when a hero, when you have the anti-hero and he becomes popular, you run the risk of him becoming an anti-hero. Because if he's no longer a villain anymore, like Deathstroke. Deathstroke is cool, but he gets too sympathetic or he's just too awesome, and people I don't like to see him as a villain anymore. Just have him be a badass motherfucker now, but still kind of good.
Yeah.
Not too.
My
bad.
question though is can the sympathetic villain that has done all these horrible things really redeem themselves?
Well, that all depends on what they did.
Magneto fucking genocided. He genocided all over the place.
Where?
There was all that genociding that happened.
Where? He was just kind of Magneto was more like a terrorist, like the traditional of the word. I'm gonna plant bombs.
Okay, could Osama bin Laden come back from the grave and make up for 9/11?
Well, I suppose so.
Could Hitler return and go plant some trees in Israel and just call it an even?
You know what's interesting? There's Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, because he was reincarnated.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That was Goku's last wish. Is I like Buu. He's a great warrior. He's an evil bastard, but I want to give him a chance to grow up as a good person. I want him to be reincarnated as a good-hearted human being. And I'm that's fuck. I love Goku. He's the Superman of Japan. I love that.
Yeah, he really is. So yeah, that's just an interesting question. Does it matter what they did, or do you think anyone can be redeemed? And I guess that depends on your Superman-like philosophy. Because Hal Jordan fucking killed the Green Lantern Corps, and his story has been one of redemption.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it all depends if you're choosing to do it. Because if your hand is forced by some supernatural entity, for example, Jean Grey, the Phoenix, she essentially annihilated an entire fucking planet, an entire solar system. She just flew through a sun, absorbed all its power, and just no sun anymore. An entire solar system is dead now. So countless lives lost, an entire planet. Do you blame her? She was going to be executed for that. Well, it wasn't really her fault because some cosmic entity took her over. And in comic books, there should be a clause.
It's a really good thing that we don't have actual mind control and possession in the world. That would cause some really fucking problems.
I just want to see a story. Yeah, because it's so awesome because it's there's got to be in these comic book universes, there's got to be some kind of law in place. Law I wasn't viable for this action because I was taken over by like a cosmic entity. It's like the cosmic entity clause, you know, manipulated by an evil cosmic entity. Fucking, it's like Hal Jordan. Like, it wasn't my fault. This fucking entity of pure fear engulfed my soul and made me do all the horrible shit. So I died and sacrificed myself.
Inconvenient shit, and like it sounds like people are gonna try to use it to get out of like work. You know, like you call, like you show up for work after doing like a no call no show, and your boss is like, "Where the fuck were you yesterday? We were swamped." It's like, man, it was such a pain in the ass. I woke up and I realized that I was possessed by an evil space demon, and like it made me go to the movies and have chicken wings last night and sleep until noon today.
Yeah,
it was really fucking annoying. I'm so sick of this shit happening.
It's so like, but that's the thing. It works both ways because it really shows, because in like a few years ago, like a few months ago actually, Scott Summers' Cyclops became evil because he got taken over by the Phoenix and killed Professor X. And everyone's like, "Oh my god, you've killed Professor X." I'm like, I was possessed by a fucking thing that made my girlfriend kill an entire planet. Oh, but you're gonna forgive Jean Grey because she's got tits and a nice ass. Oh, but I accidentally kill a dude. Like, that's horrible for me as well. The guy who raised me, I was controlled by an evil, like, fucking space entity. Oh, but just because I don't have tits, you're gonna fucking... Oh, Scott Summers, you're so bad. It wasn't his fault. And Wolverine, like, how many motherfuckers have you killed? How many friends have you killed? What a fucking hypocrite. It's just like, X-Men versus Avengers was just a great, like, fun story, but just like, everyone's ragging on Cyclops now. I'm like, god damn it. I don't know.
Yeah, the question of redemption for characters, for sympathetic villains in particular, but characters in general, is a really fascinating idea. Because I mean, we've all had, like, you know, there's that famous episode of like arguably the best episode of Superman the Animated Series, where he was brainwashed by Darkseid. Fantastic thing, and it spins out like an entire season of the Justice League show. Absolutely, like, amazing story. And you know, you question, yeah, Superman makes up for it, and you know, he comes back and he does good again, but it leaves just this scar in that world that never really heals, right? You know?
Yeah, like, once you have a dude in fucking black armor, once you have the hero of your city, like, put on the colors of the invading force and just told his own symbol as a flag of war for an evil god of evil from space, fuck, you know, that tends to lead, like, I don't know, man, you're kind of fucked up, you know, you're gonna have some trust issues after that point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's one of those really fascinating stories that they told in that one. But I think we're about at the end of this, unless there was anything else you really wanted to bring up.
No, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. This is a really fascinating topic, though, and, like, I was telling Steve last week when I was picking this that I wasn't sure whether or not to make another, like, to make something else, like a subset of this, or to just make it its own topic someday. But I also plan to, at some point, do a video on, like, the lovable rogue character.
Oh,
you know?
Dude, I want to do that. I really want to do that. It's so sad that it's so sad that Steve couldn't be on this show. I'm kind of sad.
Yeah, it's okay though. Like, yeah, lovable rogue. Like, it seems like it's kind of in the sympathetic case, but like when I think of that, I think of, you know, Jack Sparrow, Han Solo, like
Gambit.
Catwoman, that kind of stuff.
Gambit.
What?
Gambit.
Yeah, Gambit, just stuff like that, and like it doesn't seem like the same thing as a sympathetic villain to me. So I'm glad that we'll make that its own topic down the road. But Milan,
yeah,
what are we going to talk about next week?
Is it a review topic or what?
Yes, it's a review topic, Milan.
Let's see. Let's see. Let me just check through my Michael Allred's Madman.
What is that?
Michael Allred's Madman comic.
Okay, it's a comic. I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, check it out. You'll actually really like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, say it one more time for me, please.
Michael Allred's Madman.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get it in my head. All right. Sounds like fun. How many issues is that, or is it just like a graphic novel, or what's up?
Let me see. I'm just looking at it from my bookshelf, just taking it out. Let's see. I always want, like, I have it. I just want to have the opportunity to read it. So the first, let's see. Just pick up the. You can download it. It's volume 2. Just Michael Allred's. Yeah. It's Madman Volume 2.
Okay. Is like volume 2 as in someone else wrote the book at one point?
No, it's just don't worry. Once you read it, you'll understand.
Okay, I hope this will make sense.
Okay, anyway.
Alright. Everyone, thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I am the Madman.
And we are your geeky gentlemen. And we will be discussing.